Nobody likes reading the rules to the game. Nobody listens when you try to tell them the rules anyway. So what if we can make the starting steps to your game night just a little bit easier? Let's look into how masking up, social distancing, and staying inside can help tired doctors and researchers stop an actual plague. Welcome to the library, and today we'll be looking at the rules and gameplay for Pandemic. Before we set up and play, we need to look at and understand all of the pieces. We have 3 different types of cards: 59 player cards, 48 infection cards, and 7 roll cards. We then have the fun pieces, 96 disease cubes in 4 colors, the 7 pawns, and the 6 research stations. Last but not least, the markers, an outbreak marker, an infection marker, and the 4 double-sided cure markers. To set up, place the board in the middle of everyone. Set up your markers in their starting positions and make sure the cure markers have the blank side up to show you haven't found the cure yet. Next, you'll shuffle your green infection cards and pull 3 of them. Put 3 cubes on the corresponding cards on that location on the map. Pull 3 more cards and put 2 color cubes on those locations. And finally, pull the 3 final cards and put 1 disease cube on top of those 3 locations. All 9 of those cards will go face up in the discard pile, which is next to your initial stack. Next up, your players can either choose their own role they want to play, or they can be distributed at random. Find the corresponding colored pawn, grab 1 research center, and place all of those in Atlanta. Then shuffle and deal the player cards out to all players. 4 cards for 2 players, 3 for 3, and 2 cards for a 4-player game. Finally, decide if you want to add 4, 5, or 6 epidemic cards to your player deck. Whatever you decide, separate the player deck into that many portions. Put an epidemic card on each portion and shuffle them individually, and then stack them. And now you're ready to play. But to figure out who goes first, you have to look at your player cards. The card that has the highest population in it signifies the player that will be taking the first turn. The goal of the game is to eradicate diseases and ultimately find cures to destroy them for good. On a player's turn, they get to do 4 actions in any order, including repeat actions. The first and most basic action is moving, and we already have rules to this. Usually, all you can do is move from one space to the next along these little lines on the board. However, there are some exceptions. If you discard a city card, you can travel directly to that city. If you discard a city card for a city you're already in, you can go anywhere. And if you build research stations, you can move between these buildings regardless of distance for 1 movement. Which leads us to our next action, building a research station. If you have a matching city card to a city that you are in, you can discard it to build a research station. There are only 5 of these outside of the original one in Atlanta, so you need to be careful with spacing, because in the later portion of the game, speed and efficiency is key. You can treat diseases. If you're standing in a city that has disease cubes, you can remove 1 cube for 1 action. If you've discovered a cure, however, you can remove all of the infection blocks from a location in a single action. Which leads me to my next point of discovering a cure. If you happen to be at a research station and you have 5 cards of matching colors, you can discard them to cure that disease. Now, to show that you've cured it, you'll take the little pill bottle and you'll switch it to the side that has the little cross out on it, just so everyone on the board knows. Moving forward, if you can erase all of the infection tokens of that color, it is out of the game. Even if it is pulled in the infection deck, it cannot be placed. In order to get cards of all the same color, you might need to do this final action though. Share your knowledge. To do this, you and another player must be in the same city. Then you can give the city card that matches the city you're in to another player, or they can give it to you. But always make sure that you don't have more than 7 cards in your hand, or you'll have to discard them. After a player has done all their actions, they pull 2 cards from the player deck. This gives them more cards to find cures. However, you also run the risk of pulling an epidemic. If you do, you need to do the following. Move the infection rate marker up 1. Pull the bottom card from the infection deck and add 3 disease cubes to that location. If an outbreak would cause a location to get more than 3 infection cubes, just leave it at 3. Unfortunately, you'll have to add 1 of that color to every city that epidemic city is connected to. Then move the outbreak tracker up 1. If doing this outbreak would cause another outbreak, bad news. Place more cubes in connecting cities, except for the cities that have already experienced an outbreak, regardless of whether you initially caused that outbreak or not. Your last step is to take the discard pile of the infection deck, shuffle it, and place it back on top. Finally, you can take your epidemic card and remove it from the game. There are 3 different ways that you can lose this game. The least cinematic is simply running out of player cards in the player deck. Another way to lose is to run out of disease cubes of any color. And finally, the scariest way to lose is to reach a critical amount of outbreaks. If you can manage to find the cures to all 4 diseases and wipe all the cubes off the map, you win. That has been the rulebook for Pandemic. If I missed anything you think is important for gameplay, let us know in the comments below. But remember, sometimes having fun with your friends means forgetting a rule or two. Do not forget to like and subscribe, and let us know what board, card, or tabletop game you want me to read the rulebook for next. Thanks for watching.